Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com for NFL picks. I'm making this video on October 26, 2015 at 8:16 a.m. in the morning. Let's do forensics on my picks for Week 7. Rough week for me. I need a win tonight in the Arizona game, Arizona versus Baltimore, at Arizona to break even. Right? I hit on the under 42 in the Seattle Seahawks 49er game. I missed taking Atlanta laying 3.5 points. Atlanta won the game, but they only won it by 3 points. I hit on Carolina laying 2.5 points over Philadelphia, the Monday night game from last night. I missed on taking the Pittsburgh Steelers and laying 2 points against the Kansas City Chiefs in KC. I also missed, and this pick really shocked me. Right? I missed taking the Detroit Lions at home getting 2.5 points over the Minnesota Vikings. So, for me to break even, I need to win tonight. Understand, the line has moved in our direction. I recommended Arizona laying 7.5 early last week, a week ago. Well, now the line has jumped to 9, right? Concerns on the game. Arizona's strength of schedule. Folks, they've played, statistically, one of the easiest schedules to date in the National Football League, right? Another concern. Arizona coming off its worst loss of the season. They lost 25-13 at Pittsburgh. Right? But if you look at the box score, if you look at the game, you're going to see that they held Pittsburgh in that game to 14 first downs. I believe Arizona has the defense to bounce back. Also, another concern is the variance in Arizona's play. When they're good, they're very good. When they're bad, they're scoring 13 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers without Ben Roethlisberger. Let's talk about Baltimore. You know, Baltimore, obviously I'm betting against them. But Baltimore is not as bad as people think. It's true they're coming off of a 2-game losing streak, right? They lost to Cleveland at home. They lost to the San Francisco 49ers on the road. Interestingly enough, McCown and Kaepernick both lit up the Baltimore Raven defense, which is missing their safety, Will Davis. Right now, what's really surprising, especially after looking at the 49er offense against Seattle, right, and under that delivered for us. What's surprising is that Colin Kaepernick against this Baltimore Raven defense actually passed for 340 yards. Right? I personally feel Kaepernick is in danger of losing his starting position. Right? Simply put, when a Colin Kaepernick throws for 340 yards against you these days, to me that means your pass defense is awful. Understand though, even with the loss against the 49ers, Baltimore held the 49ers to 15 first downs. I'm expecting Arizona to make a statement. I believe they should cover the 7.5. My week depends on that, right? Understand, money has come in on Arizona to the point where the line has jumped 1.5 since we picked Arizona a week ago. Let's talk about some lines, and I'm talking about lines as of Monday, right? October the 26th. You need to check the lines to see which way they move as the week progresses. One of the big games is going to be Green Bay, unbeaten, on the road against the Denver Broncos. These are just initial thoughts. Now, it's a rare day when the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning are a dog at home. Something else to consider is that Denver and Green Bay are both coming off buys. Now, there should be a cause for concern with both teams based on their previous games. Denver got pushed into overtime against Cleveland on the road. Denver ended up winning that game by 3. That was a push. That wasn't a cover. Now, Green Bay at home played the San Diego Chargers. Phillip Rivers passed for a hell of a lot of yardage. San Diego statistically had a lot of yardage. Green Bay won the game by 7. Understand, they didn't cover. The line was 10. Right? You need to be a little concerned about the degree to which Phillip Rivers was able to pass all over Green Bay's secondary. Another big game, Cincinnati coming off of a bye. Right? Coming off of a 13-point win over Buffalo, their last time out. They're actually going to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. The rumor is that Ben Roethlisberger is coming back. You need to pay close attention to who the quarterback is in Pittsburgh. If it's Landry Jones or Michael Vick, I believe this bet makes itself. Take the visiting team. If it's Ben Roethlisberger, we might have more to talk about when I actually make picks in my pick video. Right? Understand the Steelers are coming off of a loss to Kansas City at Kansas City. Let's talk about the big bad New England Patriot versus Miami Dolphin game. Right? This game is going to be huge. Understand, the Patriots didn't cover against the Jets. Right? It was a miraculous it was a miraculous cover by the Jets, who were down by 10 and then went for a field goal even after the penalty. The Jets still attempted a 55-yard field goal. They hit the field goal, hence the Jets covered the 7.5 points, right? That's a line that moved to 9. But understand, the Patriots didn't cover against the Jets. If you go back and look at that game, if Brandon Marshall catches a touchdown pass, ball hits him in both hands and bounces off. If he catches that pass, the outcome of that game might have been different. As it was, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy I doubt any of you have on their Pro Bowl ballot, passed for 295 yards against this Patriot defense. Right? Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins won by 28 points 2 weeks ago. I'm not even talking about last week. 2 weeks ago. They won by 18 points. Right? This weekend. Here's the problem. Those wins were over the Titans and the Texans. Now we find out what their new coach, Campbell, is going to do against an old master, Bill Belichick. The line is big, right? It's 7.5. But understand, Tom Brady has had the benefit of being at home from the previous week. In other words, if the Patriots are going to get in a rhythm at home and they just beat a tough Jet team, which is better than advertised, right? The longer the Patriots are at home on a home stretch, you would expect them to play a little bit better, right? This might be a game I target in my pick video. Let's talk about another game coming up. Seattle right now, and it's Monday, is favored by 5.5 points on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the press has to tiptoe. We don't have to here. We're just gamblers. Doesn't Greg Hardy look emotionally unstable to you? How much buffoonery does this guy have to be involved in before, we reach the conclusion that this guy's a loon who might hurt his team in the locker room? There's the domestic violence conviction. Right? Then there's him talking about Tom Brady's wife. Now we're hearing that he had a meltdown with one of his coaches, knocked a clipboard out of his hand, according to some of the reports. Right? Well, one really has to wonder, whatever you're seeing of Greg Hardy during the game, having this kind of volatile personality in the locker room, does it add to wins? You also have a Cowboy team with a backup quarterback, Matt Castle, who hasn't had a lot of experience in the Cowboy offense. What's he had? One start? Is he ready for Seattle's secondary? Now let me say this. I'm a Giants fan. Right? In fact, hell, here's my Giants hat. Right? I'm a Giants fan. Even I know that the Cowboys thoroughly outplayed the Giants yesterday. They lost the game. Right? But understand, the Cowboys held Eli Manning without a touchdown. You had turnovers, interceptions, a punt return. The Giants leave with the win. The Giants didn't deserve to win. I encourage you to look under the hood at the box score. Right? Think about it, though. Seattle only gave up 3 points to the 49ers and is coming off of 10 days of rest. Still, 5.5 are a lot of points to lay on the road when you don't have a good offensive line. And Seattle this year doesn't have a good offensive line. Think about it too. Seattle's had a problem with some great tight ends, haven't they? Tyler Eifert beat them up when they played the Cincinnati Bengals. Didn't Greg Olsen of Carolina score the winning touchdown in Seattle against the Seahawks? Aren't there few tight ends in this league as good as Jason Witten? I would argue Jason Witten is a future Hall of Famer. Right? Has Seattle made the adjustments to deal with a good pass-catching tight end? Let's talk about another game that's intriguing. St. Louis is laying 7.5 points at home against the San Francisco 49ers. Right? St. Louis's defense has looked spectacular. St. Louis's offense hasn't. 7.5, ooh, that's a lot of points, isn't it? Right? San Francisco did hold Seattle to 20 points. Right? This game has arguments on both sides of the ledger, doesn't it? How about the Saints coming off a win against the Colts? Right? The Saints, of course, a team that beat the Cowboys earlier in the season. Now they get to return home, and they're going to face the New York Giants. Right? Which Saint team is going to show up? The one that ran the ball effectively against the Colts? The one that jumped out to a big lead against the Colts? Or the one that looks like it has no defense whatsoever? The one that couldn't stop Andrew Luck in the second half? The secondary that was so bad that you or I could have hit T.Y. Hilton on some of those passes. Hilton seemed to be several yards open. Right? One has to wonder, since T.Y. Hilton and Andrew Luck have been together for years, how could the Saint defense have been that bad to have T.Y. Hilton be so open? Right? Which Giant team's going to show up? The Giant team that got badly outplayed by the Dallas Cowboys after losing the previous game to the Eagles? Or the Giant team that won several games in a row and looked good, looked like an elite offense before then? Has the league caught up to the Giants? Right? We heard about Eli Manning and a quick passing, quick tempo, up-tempo offense. Right? But yet, Odell Beckham Jr.'s numbers from yesterday look bad, don't they? Right? The Giant passing game really hasn't shown up for a couple weeks, has it? Is it that DBs are now squatting on wide receiver routes? Has the league figured out how to come up on the line of scrimmage on the Giants? Or is this just your typical middle of the season Giant swoon, which Giant fans know all about every year? Keep in mind, the Giants do stand atop of the NFC East. So these games, they're intriguing. And I'll talk about the picks I like in my pick video. Let me know what you think. I hope you leave your comments about these games or about what happened this last weekend in the comments section to the video. If you have information that you want us to hear about, right, injuries, etc., I hope you use the comment section of this video as a forum. Let me also say this too. The Houston Texans. What's going on there? Right? How could a team with this much talent be this flat? Look at the numbers from the first half of their game against the Miami Dolphins. Who on the Dolphins didn't gain yards? How could I play the Dolphins and not know about Lamar Miller? Right? In my opinion, Bill O'Brien's job's in jeopardy. I understand many owners don't want to make changes in the middle of the season, but that team couldn't be flatter. Let's also face it too, in terms of personalities that might not be the best in the locker room. What's going on with Ryan Mallett? How many people watching this video would miss a plane while the team's on a tailspin, would miss the team charter because of traffic, after previously missing a team meeting because of oversleeping? Mallett needs to realize that he's one of the quarterbacks on the team. Think about it too. The job used to be his. The guy in front of him is not named Unitas, Montana, or Brady. Right? There's a chance that if Brian Hoyer plays poorly, the team might actually turn back to Mallett to be its starting quarterback. Now, this guy with one of the strongest arms in college, hell, he has one of the strongest arms in the NFL right now. This guy curiously slipped out of the first round the year he came out. He had an incident in college. Now the guy's acting like a prima donna. Let's face it. In some ways, he's acting as erratically as Greg Hardy. Let's talk about the Arian Foster injury too. What exactly was Foster doing in the game that late, when it was obvious that the Texans were being blown out? Right? Understand, an older running back like Foster is on borrowed time already. If you're going to then give the guy a torn Achilles, I'm just telling you, his ability to return in time for next season. And keep in mind, this is a torn Achilles for a running back, a guy who's going to be using his legs. The chances of him coming back by the start of next year are slim already. Right? They're slim. Let's face it too, Arian Foster has been hurt a lot lately. Groin problems, knee problems, etc. Right? So, look at Houston with all the talent on the roster. J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, DeAndre Hopkins. Look at them to have to retool. Right? That retooling might actually include the head coach. That's a developing situation. I'm sure Texan fans were expecting to do a lot better than this. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.